the beginning of your transformation. Beloved, do you feel it, that quiet stirring deep within your soul? It's not loud or forceful, yet it pulls at you with an undeniable strength. This moment is not a coincidence. Out of countless possibilities, you were guided here, to these words, to this exact place and time. Can you sense the weight of its significance? This is more than just a passing message. It is a divine appointment, orchestrated by the Creator, written into eternity with your name upon it. There's a reason you've felt the tension in your spirit, the struggle between who you are and who you're meant to become. This isn't a mistake or a detour, it's a calling, a sign that transformation is unfolding. God has been at work in your life, weaving every triumph, every challenge, and every question into a tapestry that leads to this moment. You've carried so much, fought through so many storms, and yet you're still here. Why? Because there is more for you. Today, you are invited to step into something greater, not by force, but by choice, not through striving, but through surrender. This journey is not about becoming someone you are not. It's about uncovering the truth of who God created you to be. The path ahead is one of release, renewal, and rediscovery, a journey that begins with a simple question. Are you ready to let go of the old and embrace the new? This is the start of your transformation, the first step into a life aligned with your purpose, filled with divine promise, and guided by unshakable faith. Will you take the step? Will you trust the one who brought you here? If your heart says yes, then let us begin this sacred journey together. The wilderness awaits, but so does the promised land. Your new beginning starts now. Part 1. Divine Appointment. Beloved chosen one, do you feel the quiet but undeniable pull stirring deep within your heart? It is no accident that you find yourself here at this moment. Out of countless possibilities, your steps were guided to this message, a meeting that transcends coincidence. This moment carries a sacred weight, a significance designed uniquely for you, long before you could have realized it. You are not here by chance, but by a purposeful calling. Reflect on your journey, the twists, turns, triumphs, and trials that led you here. Each step, even the ones that felt like missteps, played a role in shaping this encounter. This is not merely a message, it is an invitation, an awakening to something far greater than yourself. What if this moment was crafted by God to transform your life in ways you cannot yet see? Can you sense the possibility, the stirring of something new within your spirit? This is a moment of alignment, a divine connection unfolding before you. The divine appointment extends a call to pause and listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. It invites you to recognize the whispers of the Creator in your life, guiding and leading you toward a purpose that only you can fulfill. Think about the times you felt lost or uncertain. Even in those moments, unseen hands were at work, gently nudging you toward this very encounter. God's timing is perfect, and His plans are intentional. This is not the first time you felt a pull towards something greater. Perhaps it has been quiet, almost imperceptible at times, but it has always been there, a thread of hope woven through the fabric of your life. Today, that thread is being illuminated, inviting you to see the bigger picture. The divine appointment is not about looking back with regret or ahead with fear. It's about standing in the present moment and recognizing its sacredness. As you sit with this, allow yourself to consider the possibility that God has been preparing you for this moment all along. Your presence here is evidence of His care and intention. He has orchestrated every detail, aligning circumstances, relationships, and opportunities to bring you to this point. Can you trust that this moment is exactly where you are meant to be? The path forward begins with an open heart and a willingness to listen. This is not a moment of coincidence. It is a moment of divine orchestration. The Creator, who knows you intimately and loves you completely, is calling you to step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. What lies ahead may be unknown, but you are not alone. God's hand is upon you, guiding you toward a purpose that is uniquely yours. This divine appointment is the first step in a journey of transformation. It is a moment to acknowledge the call within you and to respond with faith. As you take this step, remember that you are seen, you are loved, and you are being led by the one who knows the end from the beginning. This is your moment. Will you embrace it? Part 2. Invitation to release. As you reflect on this divine appointment, take a moment to acknowledge the burdens you've been carrying, fears, doubts, regrets, and the weight of expectations that have long pressed upon your spirit. These struggles are not meaningless. They are signs of a deeper transformation at work within you. The tension you feel, the pull between who you were and who you are meant to become, is no accident. It is a sacred invitation to release the old and step into the new. God is gently calling you to lay down what no longer serves you. The habits, beliefs, and identities that may have once brought you comfort or security are now chains holding you back. They were necessary for a season, but their time has passed. The question before you now is this: are you ready to let them go? Are you willing to attend the symbolic funeral for your old self and embrace the life God has prepared for you? This invitation is not about rejecting your past or denying its significance. Your old self has played a crucial role in your journey. It carried you through challenges, taught you resilience, and brought you to this very moment. But now, it is time to release it with gratitude and reverence, knowing that its purpose has been fulfilled. Holding on to the past will only weigh you down, preventing you from stepping into the fullness of God's plan. Imagine what it would feel like to be free of the burdens you've carried for so long. Picture yourself unencumbered, no longer tethered to the fears, doubts, and limitations that have defined you. This is not an act of loss, but of liberation. God is inviting you to trust Him, to surrender what you cannot control, and to step forward in faith. This is not a decision made lightly, but it is a necessary one for the transformation that awaits. Consider the story of Isaiah 43 verses 18 to 19. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? God's promise is clear. He is doing something new in your life. But to embrace the new, you must let go of the former things. This requires courage, faith, and a willingness to trust in His plan, even when the path ahead feels uncertain. This moment is sacred, not because it is free of challenges, but because it is rich with possibility. It is an opportunity to align yourself with the divine purpose that has been waiting for you. Releasing the old does not mean forgetting where you've come from. It means honoring the journey while stepping boldly into what lies ahead. It is an act of faith, a declaration that you trust God to lead you into the next chapter of your life. As you sit with this invitation, allow yourself to feel the weight of what you are being called to release. It is not easy to let go of what is familiar, even when it no longer serves you. But remember, God's plans for you are far greater than anything you could imagine. The release of the old makes room for the new, for the blessings and opportunities that are waiting just beyond your reach. This is your moment to rise. God is preparing you for something greater, something beyond your current understanding. He is asking you to take a step of faith, to trust that His plans are good, and to believe that His best is yet to come. Will you accept this invitation? Will you release the old and step into the new with an open heart and unwavering faith? The choice is yours, and the possibilities are endless. Part 3. Letting go of the past. As you step deeper into this journey, the time has come to confront the past and make peace with it. The weight of your old fears, doubts, and regrets has served its purpose, but it is no longer yours to carry. The old self, the one shaped by outdated patterns and limitations, must now be laid to rest. This is not an act of forgetting, but of honoring what has been, while freeing yourself to embrace what is yet to come. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but a courageous act of faith. It is a declaration that you are ready to move beyond the boundaries of your past and step into the fullness of your calling. The habits and identities that once gave you comfort are no longer fit for the path ahead. They were necessary for a season, but they cannot accompany you into the new life God has prepared for you. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at a threshold, holding the remnants of your past in your hands. These remnants are not failures but lessons, not burdens but building blocks that have shaped your journey. You have carried them long enough. Now, God is asking you to set them down, to release them with gratitude and trust. The act of letting go is not about losing something. It is about creating space for something greater. Isaiah 43 verses 18 to 19 offers a profound reminder. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? God's promise is clear. The past, while significant, is not your final destination. A new chapter is unfolding, one that requires you to leave behind what no longer serves you. This is not an ending but a beginning, a moment of renewal and transformation. Letting go of the past also means releasing the stories you've told yourself about who you are and what you are capable of. These stories may have been shaped by fear, doubt, or the expectations of others, but they do not define you. The truth of your identity lies in God's vision for your life, not in the limitations you or others have placed upon you. Can you trust that God's plans for you are greater than anything you could imagine? As you release the past, consider the freedom that awaits you. Without the weight of old fears and regrets, you are free to explore the life God has called you to live. This freedom is not about escaping responsibility, but about embracing the fullness of your potential. It is an invitation to step boldly into the unknown, trusting that God's hand will guide you every step of the way. This process is not without its challenges. The act of letting go can feel like a loss, especially when it involves releasing identities or roles that have been a part of you for so long. But remember, this is not a moment of grief, but of celebration. The old self has fulfilled its purpose. It has carried you through trials, taught you resilience, and brought you to this sacred moment. Now, it is time to honor it and let it rest. Letting go also involves trusting in God's timing. The process of transformation does not happen overnight. It is a journey that requires patience, faith, and a willingness to lean into the unknown. There will be moments of doubt, times when you question whether you have made the right choice. But in those moments, remember the promise of Isaiah, "See, I am doing a new thing." God is at work in your life, even when you cannot yet see the results. As you move forward, let this be a moment of sacred release. Picture yourself laying down the burdens of your past, one by one, until your hands are empty and your heart is light. This act of release is not about erasing the past, but about making room for the future. It is about trusting that God's plans for you are good and that His best is yet to come. This is your moment to let go, to step into the freedom that God has prepared for you. The past has shaped you, but it does not define you. Your identity lies not in what has been, but in what God is calling you to become. Will you trust Him? Will you release the past and step boldly into the new life that awaits you? The choice is yours, and the possibilities are endless. Part 4. The funeral as a celebration. As the journey continues, the time has come to embrace the sacred symbolism of a funeral, not for a loved one, but for the version of yourself that no longer aligns with your calling. This is not a moment of mourning or sorrow. It is a celebration of growth, evolution, and the promise of transformation. The old you, with all its fears, doubts, and limitations, has fulfilled its purpose. It carried you to this moment, and now it is time to let it rest. Imagine this ceremony as an act of love and gratitude. You are not rejecting or forgetting the past, but honoring it for its role in shaping who you are today. Every trial, every triumph, every lesson has contributed to your journey. But just as a seed must break apart to give way to new life, so too must the old version of you be released to make room for the person you are becoming. This funeral is a sacred honoring, a moment to acknowledge and release the roles, identities, and habits that once served you but are now holding you back. It is an act of courage to say goodbye to what is familiar, even when it no longer fits. The overachiever, the protector, the one who pushed through pain without pause, these aspects of you were necessary for a time, but they are not your final form. Consider the story of David when he faced Goliath. King Saul offered him heavy armor to protect him, but David realized it didn't fit. He chose instead to face the giant with only a sling, his faith, and the strength God had given him. In the same way, you are being called to shed the armor of your old self, the habits and patterns that no longer serve your purpose. This is not a loss but a liberation, an opportunity to step into your truth unencumbered. This funeral is also an act of trust. By releasing the old, you are declaring your faith in God's promise to do something new in your life. Isaiah 43 verse 19 reminds us, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? God's work is already underway, and this moment of release is your way of aligning with His plan. The process may feel uncertain, even uncomfortable, but it is necessary for the growth that lies ahead. As you imagine this ceremony, picture yourself laying down the identities and beliefs that no longer serve you. Visualize placing them into a symbolic box, wrapping them with care, and setting them aside with reverence. These pieces of your past are not being discarded or forgotten. They are being honored for their role in your journey. Their purpose has been fulfilled, and it is time to let them rest. This moment is not one of grief, but of profound gratitude. The old self was not weak. It was resilient, strong, and determined. It weathered storms that might have destroyed others. It carried you through pain, doubt, and fear. But now, it is time to step into a new season, one that aligns with the person God has called you to be. The release of the old is not an end but a beginning, a rebirth into a freer, bolder version of yourself. Think of the Israelites crossing the Jordan River into the Promised Land. They left behind the wilderness that had shaped them but could not carry its weight into their future. In the same way, you are leaving behind what no longer serves you, not as an act of rejection, but as a declaration of readiness for what comes next. This is a sacred threshold, a passage from what was into what will be. This ceremony of release is also a celebration of God's faithfulness. Every step of your journey has been guided by His hand, even when you couldn't see it. The old self may have been necessary for a time, but God is calling you to rise beyond it. He is inviting you into a life of greater purpose, deeper faith, and unshakable freedom. As you release the old, take a moment to breathe deeply and feel the shift within you. Allow the weight of the past to fall away, replaced by the lightness of possibility. This is not a moment of loss, but of profound liberation. The version of you that you are laying to rest has carried you far, but it cannot take you further. Trust that God is leading you into something greater, something beyond what you can imagine. This is your funeral for the old self, a sacred act of release and celebration. It is a declaration of faith, a recognition that God's plans for you are good, and a commitment to step into the new with open arms and an open heart. You are not alone in this journey. The God who brought you this far will carry you forward, guiding your steps and lighting your path. Will you trust Him? Will you let go and embrace the life that awaits you? The choice is yours, and the possibilities are limitless. Part 5. Embracing vulnerability. In this stage of your journey, you are called to embrace a truth that may feel unfamiliar yet transformative. Vulnerability is not weakness but strength. It is through vulnerability that we open ourselves to God's grace, allowing Him to work in us and through us in ways we cannot imagine. The masks of invincibility and the armor of self-sufficiency may have protected you in the past, but now they must be set aside. Vulnerability is the gateway to the life God has prepared for you. Consider the story of Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus. When faced with the grief of those around Him, Jesus wept. John 11 verse 35 tells us, Jesus wept. Even the Son of God, perfect and without sin, allowed Himself to feel deeply and express His emotions. This moment was not a display of weakness, but of profound humanity. It was a reminder that strength is not found in denying our emotions, but in acknowledging them and trusting God to carry us through. Your journey thus far may have required you to be the strong one, the pillar for others, the one who bore burdens silently, and the person who pressed forward without pause. While these roles were necessary for a time, they are not meant to define you. God is calling you to release the weight of these expectations and to embrace the freedom of being fully yourself. Vulnerability is not about exposing your wounds to the world. It is about allowing God to heal them. Matthew 11 verse 28 offers an invitation. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. God does not ask you to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Instead, He invites you to lay your burdens at His feet, to trust in His strength when yours feels depleted. This is the essence of vulnerability, acknowledging that you cannot do it all alone and surrendering to the one who can. Vulnerability also requires trust. It asks you to believe that God's plans for you are good, even when the path ahead feels uncertain. It is an act of faith to open your heart, to risk the possibility of pain or rejection, and to trust that God will use every moment for your growth and His glory. This trust is not blind. It is rooted in the knowledge that God is faithful and that His promises are true. Think of Moses when God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Moses doubted his ability, asking, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" Exodus 3 verse 11. Yet God reassured him, saying, "I will be with you." Like Moses, you may feel unqualified or unsure, but God's presence is your strength. He does not call the equipped, He equips the called. Embracing vulnerability means allowing yourself to feel deeply and to be honest with God about your fears, doubts, and hopes. It is in these moments of honesty that transformation begins. When you bring your whole self, flaws and all, before God, you create space for Him to work in ways you never imagined. Vulnerability is not a sign of inadequacy. It is a declaration of trust in God's sufficiency. This process may feel uncomfortable, even painful at times. Letting go of the armor you've worn for so long can leave you feeling exposed. But remember, God's promise in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Your vulnerability is not a liability. It is an opportunity for God's strength to shine through. As you embrace vulnerability, you will begin to see the beauty of being fully known and fully loved by God. You do not need to earn His love or prove your worth. He sees you as you are, broken yet beautiful, flawed yet deeply loved. This love is not conditional. It is unchanging and eternal. It is the foundation upon which your new life is built. This is your moment to lay down the roles and expectations that have weighed you down. It is a time to step into the freedom of being authentically you. Vulnerability is not a burden. It is a gift. It is the bridge that connects you to God's heart and allows His grace to flow into every area of your life. As you move forward, let go of the fear of being seen. Embrace the truth that you are enough, just as you are. God does not ask for perfection. He asks for a willing heart. When you open yourself to Him, you create space for His love, wisdom, and strength to transform you from the inside out. This is the power of vulnerability. It frees you to be fully yourself while allowing God to shape you into the person He has called you to be. You are not alone in this journey. The God who knows you intimately and loves you completely is walking beside you, guiding you every step of the way. Will you trust Him with your heart? Will you allow Him to use your vulnerability as a vessel for His glory? The choice is yours, and the transformation that awaits is beyond anything you can imagine. Part 6. The wilderness as preparation. The wilderness is a place of stillness, challenge, and transformation. It is a space where distractions fall away, and what remains is the raw essence of who you are and who God is calling you to become. At first, the wilderness may feel desolate or even punishing, but it is not a place of abandonment. It is a place of preparation. God uses this season to refine you, strengthen you, and reveal the depth of His plans for your life. Think of Jesus, who spent 40 days in the wilderness after being baptized. During this time, He faced trials and temptations, yet emerged stronger, clearer in His purpose, and ready to step into His mission. Matthew 4 verses 1-11 tells us that this period was not one of punishment, but of preparation. In the same way, the wilderness you may find yourself in is not a void of emptiness, but a space brimming with potential. The wilderness strips away the noise of the world, leaving you face to face with yourself and with God. In this stillness, you are given the opportunity to confront your fears, doubts, and insecurities. It is a time to reflect on what truly matters and to let go of anything that does not align with your divine calling. This process is not easy, but it is necessary. The wilderness refines you, like gold in the fire, removing impurities and revealing your true strength. This season may challenge your faith and patience, but it is also where God's greatest work is done. Consider Elijah, who fled into the wilderness seeking God's voice. He expected to find it in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but instead, he heard God in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19 verses 11-13. The wilderness teaches you to listen, not with your ears, but with your heart. It is in the quiet, still moments that God's guidance becomes clear. As you navigate the wilderness, you may feel moments of doubt or frustration. The path forward may seem unclear, and progress may feel slow. But remember, God is not absent. He is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances and preparing you for what lies ahead. Trust in His timing, even when the waiting feels unbearable. The wilderness is not the end of your journey. It is a crucial part of it. The purpose of this season is also to build your trust in God. When the comforts and securities of the world are stripped away, you are left with no choice but to rely on Him completely. This reliance is not a sign of weakness but of faith. In Deuteronomy 8 verses 2-3, God reminds the Israelites that their time in the wilderness was meant to humble and test them, to teach them that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. In the same way, your wilderness is shaping your dependence on God, teaching you to trust Him in all things. The wilderness also serves as a place to rediscover your dreams and your God-given purpose. In the stillness, you are invited to revisit the desires of your heart, the ones that may have been buried under the weight of daily life or dismissed as unrealistic. What would your life look like if you truly believed that anything was possible? This is the question the wilderness asks of you. It is a space to dream boldly and to align those dreams with God's vision for your life. In this season, you may also find yourself questioning your past choices and the direction of your life. This reflection is not meant to shame you, but to provide clarity. Are you building a life that brings you peace, joy, and fulfillment? If not, the wilderness offers you the chance to realign your path, to shed what no longer serves you, and to embrace what God is calling you toward. The wilderness is not a punishment. It is a gift. It is a sacred space where you are invited to grow, to trust, and to prepare for what comes next. It is a reminder that God's plans for you are not small or limited. They are expansive, bold, and filled with purpose. But to step into those plans, you must first walk through the wilderness, allowing it to refine and strengthen you. As you journey through this season, embrace it with courage and faith. Trust that the challenges you face are not meant to break you but to build you. Every moment spent in the wilderness is preparing you for the extraordinary life God has planned for you. This is not a time of loss but of transformation. God is at work, even when you cannot see it, shaping you into the person He has called you to be. The wilderness is not a place to fear. It is a place to be embraced. It is where you find clarity, strength, and purpose. Trust the process. Trust yourself. And, most importantly, trust God. The wilderness is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of something extraordinary. Will you step into it with faith, knowing that God's plans for you are good and that His best is yet to come? The choice is yours, and the possibilities are endless. Part 7. Rediscovering Dreams. As you emerge from the wilderness, a new invitation awaits, one that calls you to rediscover the dreams planted deep within your heart. These dreams are not random desires. They are divine whispers, placed there by God as seeds of purpose and potential. Yet, over time, life's challenges, disappointments, and doubts may have buried them beneath layers of fear and hesitation. Now, in this sacred season, you are invited to uncover them once more. Think back to the aspirations that once set your soul on fire. Perhaps they were dismissed as unrealistic, impractical, or too ambitious. Perhaps the demands of daily life forced them into the background, or the voices of others convinced you they were unattainable. But God does not place dreams in your heart without equipping you to pursue them. These dreams are not forgotten. They have been waiting patiently for you to return to them. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 reminds us of God's promise. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." The dreams within you are part of this divine plan, a blueprint for a life that aligns with your unique calling. Rediscovering these dreams requires faith, a willingness to believe in the possibilities that God has set before you, even when they seem beyond your reach. To rediscover your dreams, you must first silence the voices of fear and doubt. These voices often masquerade as logic or practicality, convincing you to settle for less than what God has called you to. But the truth is, fear and doubt are not your allies. They are obstacles that seek to keep you small. God's word is clear. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. Step into that power and let it guide you toward the dreams that reflect His purpose for your life. This journey also requires you to confront the narratives you've told yourself about what is possible. Have you believed that you're not capable, worthy, or deserving of a life that fulfills your soul? These stories are not from God. He sees you as you truly are, capable, worthy, and equipped for every good work. Philippians 4 verse 13 reminds us, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Let this truth guide you as you begin to dream again. Rediscovering your dreams means creating space for them. It requires a willingness to let go of what no longer serves you, to declutter your mind, heart, and life so that God's vision can take root. This might mean releasing old goals that were driven by the expectations of others or stepping away from roles that no longer align with your calling. It is not an act of rejection but of alignment, a realignment with the truth of who you are and the life God has prepared for you. As you reconnect with these dreams, allow yourself to dream boldly. What would you pursue if fear were no longer a factor? What life would you create if you truly believe that all things are possible with God? These questions are not just exercises in imagination. They are invitations to explore the depths of your potential. Your dreams are not too big for God. They are reflections of His limitless power and love. Consider Joseph, who faced betrayal, imprisonment, and countless setbacks before seeing his dreams fulfilled. Despite the challenges, he remained faithful, trusting that God was at work even in the darkest moments. Genesis 50 verse 20 reminds us of Joseph's perspective. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done." In the same way, your journey, no matter how challenging, has been preparing you for the fulfillment of your dreams. Rediscovering your dreams also means embracing the idea that your past does not disqualify you. The mistakes, missteps, and struggles you faced are not roadblocks but stepping stones. They have shaped your character, deepened your faith, and prepared you for the life you are stepping into. God specializes in redemption, turning what was meant for harm into something beautiful and purposeful. This season is not just about dreaming. It is about taking action. Dreams without action remain fantasies, but when you align your steps with God's guidance, they become reality. Start small if you must, but start. Take the first step in faith, knowing that God is walking beside you. Proverbs 16 verse 9 reminds us, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Trust that each step you take is part of a larger, divine plan. As you move forward, remember that your dreams are not just for you. They are a reflection of God's glory and a gift to the world. When you step into your calling, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage, faith, and determination become a beacon of hope for those around you, reminding them that they too are capable of living a life that aligns with their God-given purpose. This is your moment to dream again, to believe in the possibilities that God has placed within you, to trust that the same God who planted these dreams in your heart will guide you in bringing them to life. The journey ahead may be uncertain, but it is also filled with potential. Will you embrace it? Will you allow yourself to dream boldly, act courageously, and trust fully in the God who makes all things possible? The choice is yours, and the possibilities are infinite, stepping into your new beginning. And now, beloved, here you stand, at the edge of something extraordinary. Every word, every reflection, and every truth you've encountered has brought you to this sacred moment. The old has been honored and laid to rest. The wilderness has refined you, and the dreams once buried have been awakened. Now, the question remains, will you step forward into the life God has been preparing for you? This is your moment to rise, not as the person shaped by the limitations of the past, but as the one fully aligned with God's purpose. The road ahead may be uncertain, but it is paved with divine promise. You are not stepping alone. The Creator walks with you, guiding your steps and opening doors you cannot yet see. Every challenge will strengthen you, Every victory will remind you of God's faithfulness, and every moment will shape the extraordinary story of your transformation. The time for hesitation has passed. The light within you is not meant to remain hidden. It is a beacon, a testament to the power of faith, resilience, and divine love. This is your calling, your resurrection, your rebirth. Embrace it boldly, with a heart full of faith and a spirit ready to soar. The next chapter of your journey is waiting, filled with limitless possibilities and the promise of a life fully aligned with your truth. Will you answer the call? Will you trust the one who brought you here? The choice is yours, and the world is waiting to see the light of the new you. Go forth, beloved, for this is your time. The best is yet to come.